Here's Brian Higgins.
I was not planning on talking a lot, if any, Syracuse football today. Things are happening, machinations. Portal! Apparently, I don't know what's going on with the University of South Carolina and why it is now 100% tied to Syracuse football, but it is. Breaking news. Wait, I don't need to say breaking news. Hang on. We're falling asleep at the wheel here. We weren't expecting to talk any football at all. We weren't prepared for this. Here we go. This just in from the state of South Carolina. So many things are happening. The first thing that happened is that Jatius Gear, now former Syracuse defensive lineman, who went into the portal a couple of weeks ago and had a cryptic tweet earlier this week, South Carolina native, has officially declared himself a Gamecock. And then, now, this, more, still more, so much information it was longer than the breaking news sound. Now, former South Carolina quarterback Braden Davis, a former four-star recruit of the 2022 recruiting class, a.k.a. last year, he just finished a redshirt freshman year, 4 years remaining, 6'5", 202 pounds, has transferred to Syracuse. So the trade has been completed. Jatius Gear for Braden Davis. I don't know if there's any future considerations. It's actually been a very long trade because Syracuse fans, I think, don't like Shane Beamer now because they also took Lenora Sellers, who is one of their quarterbacks and probably the reason that Davis is transferring in the first place. So Syracuse had a 9-month verbal from Lenora Sellers. He balked at the last minute, went to South Carolina. He's from down there. He blew up his senior year and said, I'm going to the SEC. Jatius Gear blew up last year, said, I'm going to the SEC. Braden Davis said, why did all these people just show up in the SEC? I'm out. I'm coming to Syracuse. And now Syracuse has a weirdly odd recruiting rivalry with South Carolina completely out of the blue. The Orange have had a bit of a rivalry with the team in South Carolina. The team has been Clemson. Now, here come the Gamecocks and Shane Beamer. The Orange used to have a rivalry with his dad when he was the head coach of Virginia Tech. Everybody was fine with Frank. Like, if you didn't like Frank Beamer, that you got problems. But the Syracuse-Virginia Tech thing now, oh, boy. That was something back in the day. This feels like an offshoot of that. The Beamers are back and messing with Syracuse, and now Syracuse is messing with them. And there, on Portal Watch Day 60, is a football Portal Watch with good and bad news, all involving the state of South Carolina, all at the same time. Got that? Man, there's never a day off in this thing. So, Justin Lampson, spring ball ends, Lampson in Portal. Now we are, what are we, 2 weeks later? 3 weeks later? And you got a guy. God bless Justin Lampson, but he's played 0 collegiate games. We don't know what the heck he would have been, but I know what he wasn't going to be, 6'5", or a former 4-star recruit, or a former SEC quarterback. So this is it, and I've said this many times. I love this recruiting plan, and now that it's the third time, I think it's intentional, and it should be. If you are Syracuse, or a school like Syracuse, that is more likely than not going to get 4-star quarterback recruits, or at the end of the road, you're going to get screwed when your 4-star quarterback recruit says, I'm going to the SEC at the last minute, and you're left holding the bag and not able to go get another kid come out of high school. Here's what I like. Go get one that is already used as one free transfer. And now if the NCAA does what they say they're going to do and is going to stop the just willy-nilly wandering about transferring every year, Garrett Schrader, Mississippi State, 3 years of eligibility remaining when he got here. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, coming from Florida. I think he had 4 years remaining. Wasn't he a redshirt freshman? So 3 left. And now this guy, Braden Davis. I say go get one of them every year. Because every year, almost every SEC team gets a 4-star quarterback. And then the other guy that didn't win the job says, I'm out. And Syracuse should say, welcome. I think it's brilliant. Brilliant. And you know what? When you stack it all up, Syracuse, realistically, in the world of stars matter, recruiting stars matter, Davis, Del Rio Wilson, and Schrader. You add all 3 together, technically, that is the most talented quarterback room that Syracuse has ever had. Technically. That is the most talented, by recruiting rankings, quarterback room that Syracuse has ever had. 3 4-star quarterbacks now on one team. Syracuse has not once in the history of the football program ever had that before. I think it's a great strategy. Great strategy. And I've said that from the second I realized it could be a thing. And, like, third time, this ain't an accident. Like, clearly Dino and them have thought the same thing. Like, in the era of the portal, like, there's a lot of things working against Syracuse in the portal area. They built up Jatius Gear. They developed Jatius Gear. He was never on the radar of these teams coming out of South Carolina. Now he goes home. They lose the defensive lineman. Well, how can you make it work in your favor? This is how. With a weird trade with the University of South Carolina. Go Cox. We'll take a break. Hour 2 coming next. Hour 1 is done. Brought to you by William Attar. Hurt in the car. Call William Attar at 444-4444. Back after this, QSportsTalk.com, ESPN Radio.